This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
I'm Roby Brock. Welcome to Talk Business and Politics Daily. It is Wednesday, July 20th. Let's check out today's top stories.
Remember the big $1.3 billion Sun Paper project near Arkadelphia announced earlier this year? A spokeswoman for Sun Paper says the planned early 2017 construction start for the factory will likely be pushed back to the third quarter of next year because of ongoing pre-engineering and feasibility studies for the bioproduct paper mill. China-based Sun Paper plans to build a state-of-the-art paper manufacturing facility in Clark County that will hire 250 new workers at roughly $52,000 annually. One of the biggest complaints common with Northwest Arkansas's employers is that the region is a hard sell to those who have never visited the area. So how about a new website? The Northwest Arkansas Council is seeking to change that with a new website marketing the growing region of more than 500,000 people. Finding NWA website will provide recruiters working for those companies and out-of-state job seekers with information about living and working in the region. But the overall program will continue to evolve as needs are identified. Talk Business and Politics' Kim Souza describes what else you may find on the site.
The Finding Northwest Arkansas website is a goldmine of information for anybody who wants to find out what it's like to live, work, and play in Northwest Arkansas. There's a comprehensive business tab that looks at who's hiring, what they pay, what it costs to live in Northwest Arkansas. Each of the 5 largest cities are also highlighted with their amenities. There's an education tab that highlights our education system from daycare to higher ed, even camp opportunities. There are 2 tabs that deal with quality of life in terms of entertainment and outdoors. There's a lot of rich digital content there. And there's a community tab that looks at our healthcare as well as our diversity. Northwest Arkansas has a very diverse population, much more diverse in the last 10 or 15 years, and that is highlighted on this site as well.
A convention center on the Arkansas State University Jonesboro campus is about to become a reality. Hilton Worldwide approved plans Tuesday to build a 202-bed Embassy Suites hotel, a Houlihan's restaurant, and a 40,000 square foot Red Wolf Convention Center on the ASU campus. Jonesboro Hotel Partners and its management company, O'Reilly Hospitality Management of Springfield, Missouri, is the proprietor of the $50 million hotel and convention center. Construction could begin as early as late August and take up to 18 months to complete. How might that be impacted by a second convention center project in Jonesboro? Go to talkbusiness.net for the full story.
And those are your top stories of the day. You can check out a full read on those articles and much more at our website at talkbusiness.net. A quick word from our sponsors, and KATV's Alicia Dover will connect with Hottest Gold of Politico for a look at the latest from the Republican National Convention in Cleveland. Plus, Steve Bronner joins me for 4 Minutes, 4 Questions. We'll explore some ballot items that you're likely to vote on this November.
First Security is here, only here. So that means we're here, here, and here. Even here. And definitely here. Because here is where we want to be for you. First Security Bank, only in Arkansas.
Arkansas's most abundant natural resource provides the core asset for Deltic Timber Corporation. In addition to the sustainable yield stewardship of its well-stocked timberlands, Deltic adds value by integrating its efficient wood products manufacturing facilities, as well as through planned development of commercial and residential real estate. Deltic Timber Corporation, creating value for a growing Arkansas.
Time now to learn more of what's been happening and about to happen at the GOP convention in Cleveland. We go to KATV's Alicia Dover, who will be attending the Democratic convention in Philadelphia next week. She visited with Hottest Gold of Politico.com from Cleveland.
And I'm joined with Hottest Gold, the media reporter for Politico. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
It's great to be with you.
All right, let's get to our first question. By now, everyone has seen that Melania Trump speech. Today, her speechwriter kind of coming forward and taking the fall for that one. What did you think of that?
It was really fascinating because it was honestly one of the first times anybody in the Trump orbit had actually taken responsibility and admitted that something they did was wrong. But also it kept the story going. You know, you would think that the Trump campaign would want this to kind of die down. We could move on to other things, but Trump was tweeting about it today, and the statement came out from the woman, and you know, it's admirable for somebody to fall on their sword, and nobody in the political or media orbit thought that it was Melania herself who actually like cribbed these notes. But it honestly just keeps the story going. And had they come out from the very beginning, like the night it happened, once people started asking questions about it and said, you know, oh, here's our speechwriter, it was a mistake or whatever, she apologized for it, and this wouldn't have lasted so long, and you wouldn't be seeing, you know, like Jimmy Fallon continuing to make fun of it on his late night show.
A lot of people saying the media is to blame for keeping this frenzy going. Do you think it's the media's fault?
Well, definitely the Republican National Committee and the Trump campaign are blaming the media for keeping this going. They say that, you know, it's kind of a non-story, that, you know, we're ignoring the important things that are happening at the convention and the important themes. But I mean, it's not just the media. Trump himself is continuing to tweet about it, and it's not. If this is their plan on how they're going to get a story out of the news, then it's an unusual approach. But I mean, it's a perfect media story, or you know, for the media to cover, because you have an otherwise kind of reclusive potential first lady who doesn't speak a lot, finally speaking. So everybody's going to be paying attention to what she says and how she says it, and then to add on to the fact that she plagiarized from somebody else, and not just from anybody else, not that she plagiarized from Laura Bush or something like that, but that she plagiarized from Michelle Obama, and that it's the Obamas that the Trumps, the Obama, you know, legacy that they're running against. They say that Hillary Clinton will just be a third term for Barack Obama. And there was just so much irony in it that you couldn't almost create a more perfect package for the political press to really devour.
A lot of veteran political reporters sitting there watching that speech, and they didn't catch it, but someone did.
I think it goes to show you that even when you think you're in the mix of everything, sometimes the biggest story is literally in front of your eyes, and you're listening to it as it happens. And it really goes to show you that even if you're the most veteran political reporter, that there's always a story somewhere. And the man who was one of the first people to really publicize it, he actually is a former journalist. And so he has a little bit of experience in this, and he just remembered the speech from 2008. And it's really something I'm positive that would have come out eventually, but it might not have come out that night and as quickly as it did, and might not have been really one of the defining stories of this convention.
More of Alicia's interview from Cleveland when we come back.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.
I did.
As Arkansas's population grows, so do our energy demands. But with the right mix of resources, reliable, affordable power will always be a reality. These resources are all around us in our rivers, blowing through our trees, even right below our feet. The answer isn't focusing on one resource, it's embracing them all. The electric cooperatives of Arkansas know that a balanced approach to power builds our communities and powers our dreams. Visit themixmatters.com and see why there's power in knowledge.
KATV's Alicia Dover will be anchoring some of our convention coverage in Philadelphia next week. We return to her interview earlier with Hottest Gold of Politico from Cleveland.
Tonight, Mike Pence will be taking the podium, basically introducing himself to the country. What do you anticipate for that speech tonight?
I think this will be a really important evening for Mike Pence. He's really unknown on the national stage. National polling shows his name ID as very low. And it'll be important for him to kind of justify himself a little bit because, a lot of his positions, public positions that he stated actually even in this election cycle are the exact opposite of what Donald Trump has said he wants to do. Everything from the ban on Muslims entering the country, that he's really going to have to show that they're a unified team. And they started doing that today when Donald Trump landed in Cleveland, and Mike Pence was there to see him along with his family. Donald Trump said very nice words, and Donald Trump himself even said, last time I got in trouble for talking too long before I introduced Mike Pence. And you could tell that he was really focused on introducing his vice president and trying to say that they were going to be a great team. So just it is a big night for Mike Pence. You could really say this is his introduction to the nation.
At most of the RNC speeches that we've been hearing so far, a lot of them bashing Hillary Clinton, but Trump's name barely a mention. Chris Christie last night putting her essentially on the stand, prosecuting her. When do you think we're actually going to start hearing Republican Party policies come into these speeches?
I think it's definitely calculated. I mean, the two candidates from both parties are so unliked by the electorate. Both of them have unfavorable numbers, higher than we've really ever seen before. And this election is not so much about who are you inspired by and who's your pick, for the person to lead the country. It's who's your lesser of two evils, almost, in a way. Like who could you stand to be president? And so when you talk to a lot of people here, even people who are a little apprehensive about Donald Trump, they say, well, I just know he's better than Hillary Clinton. Anything is better than Hillary Clinton. And on the Democratic side, we're going to see the same thing next week. It's going to be a lot of Donald Trump is dangerous. It's going to be a lot of Donald Trump. I think we'll see a little bit more candidates speak from the Democratic side. And I think in terms of whether we're going to hear more about Donald Trump and about policy, I'm sure tonight we'll start hearing a little bit more of that, and we'll start hearing Donald Trump's name uttered a little bit more by the speakers.
That's Alicia Dover with our content partner, KATV Channel 7. It's time for another break. Talk Business and Politics Steve Bronner joins me when we come back. 4 minutes, 4 questions, 4 ballot issues that you need to know more about.
Circuits turn on the lights by making a connection, by closing the loop. At Entergy, we believe our economy is circular too. What you put in comes back. So we invest billions in new infrastructure, which helps attract new industry, which helps create new jobs. We partner with local communities to electrify the economy. And together, we power life. Entergy.
At Deltic Timber Corporation, we believe in the responsible creation of communities, in the development of neighborhoods that bring convenience and comfort to life, while respecting the beauty and delicacy of nature. Like the harmonious balance of environment and expansion found in the thriving communities of Chenal Valley and Chenal Downs in Little Rock and Red Oak Ridge in Hot Springs. Because the best communities in the natural state are the ones that help keep it that way.
All right, he is Steve Bronner. He is here for 4 minutes, 4 questions. He's our politics and business reporter with Talk Business and Politics. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
All right, let's go. 4 minutes, 4 questions. I'm coming first at you. We're talking about ballot proposals today.
Okay.
Let's start with medical marijuana. There could be, likely to be 2 of them on the ballot this November. Will having 2 medical marijuana proposals kill them both, or will it make people just say, I'm voting for it because I like it in concept?
Well, polls have shown, and your own polls have shown, heavy support for medical marijuana. However, having 2 on the same ballot, the default position for people is status quo. So it could cause some confusion. Some could vote for both. Some could vote for one, but not the other. If they, does that dig into the support? It probably makes it more difficult. I'm sure that both would rather be the only one on the ballot. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's not necessarily a death knell for either one of them.
And my bonus question, what happens if they both pass?
If they both pass, as best we can tell, the winner is the winner. The one that the most votes wins, but that's never been settled in court, so we don't know for sure.
All right, your turn.
All right, we are going to probably have a medical tort reform measure on the ballot. You think it's going to pass?
So this measure would let the legislature set the boundaries for non-economic damages in medical lawsuits. It's 50-50 today, because I think this is not necessarily going to be a monetary fight in terms of the cap on damages. I think this is going to be an emotional fight. It's primarily going to be framed with the nursing home industry, which supports this medical tort reform measure and is funding this medical tort reform measure, with residents and the trial lawyers who work with those residents who try to prevent abuse. And medical problems are going to be aligned with one another. Both sides are going to have a lot of money in this thing, but I think it all gets framed up as an emotional debate on this particular topic. I don't think it comes out as, let's cap the money on this thing. I think it comes out to more, do we want to help people in this vein or in that vein?
Who has better pictures then?
Who has the better pictures? That's a good way to put it. I hadn't thought about it that way. But I'd say it's a coin toss today. Coin toss. All right. Gotcha. My question to you is, there will be one of the 3 legislative referred amendments is to allow the governor to remain governor when he crosses state boundaries, doing away with our antiquated position there. My question to you is, why have we not done this sooner?
It seems like a no-brainer. This is the 21st century. You know, just because the governor crosses state lines doesn't mean that he's out of touch with the state. You know, and governors now, a major part of their job is to go out and recruit businesses. The governor has been in Europe trying to talk up the state, so it seems like it should be an obvious one. At the same time, we tried it in the 1990s and it failed. So again, I think the default position is the status quo, and so
people don't understand it.
It has to get, and there's not going to be money behind this. There's not going to be a big push to try to pass cutting down the lieutenant governor's powers. So it is helped by the fact that the lieutenant governor himself is for this amendment.
Right.
That was seemed to make it more likely that it will pass, but still, it's really, you know, it's a roll of the dice in either way, which leads me to my next. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay. Roll of the dice. That was a good segue.
That was a great segue.
Use that one. I'm gonna let you use it.
The next question is, we now have a casino measure on the ballot. It will be opposed, as always, by a coalition of family organizations and Oaklawn and Southland. Yeah, will the power of Oaklawn and Southland be enough to stop the power of those who are supporting the casinos?
Well, it hasn't qualified for the ballot yet. They've turned in signatures, but they're not there yet. This is interesting because I do think that public perception, public opinion has changed on casinos. We have seen traditionally Arkansans are against expansion of casinos. And this one's interesting because it's a statewide vote that's going to dictate 3 different communities' ability to have casinos. And that's different than the way Oaklawn and Southland did it, because they had local control on that. And that's a powerful argument, I think, for the folks that are against it. The interesting thing to me to watch is, because you've had the pro-casino group align with the Cherokee entertainment group that has casinos already, and they have a border casino near Arkansas over the Fort Smith line. They're going to be on board and supporting this, and traditionally they've been one of the groups that has fought against expansion of casinos. So I think the dynamic changes this time around, and I think public opinion is probably warmed to casinos, but there's a powerful argument to say you should let locals control it, and this measure doesn't do that. So I say today that's a tough argument for the pro-casino folks to overcome.
Also, the constitutional monopoly that's allowed. If this is included in the Constitution, these entities will be able to operate these casinos.
Arguably, Oaklawn and Southland have monopolies in their communities right now too. So I think you can fight that fire with fire. So, all right, Steve Bronner, good stuff. Always great reporting at talkbusiness.net. Thank you for all your contributions.
Thanks.
All right. That's all for today's edition of Talk Business and Politics Daily. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.